Hey, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Lakers for Monday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Lakers lose their second preseason game, but lots of good stuff to take away, especially if you're watching Jarred Vanderbilt. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter where you are watching, even if it's in Turkmenistan. This is your first listen of every day. We appreciate it. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 36,000 subscribers to the channel, some of which watch the program live, and that's why I'm referencing Turkmenistan, because Azat LA 11 is on from there, so we appreciate it. Lakers lose their second preseason game of the young preseason. That is the headliner there. They lose, what was it, 113 to
111, 103.
111, 103. I was going to say 113 to 101. But I got it backwards. But anyway, so the Lakers lose. And once again, Andy, they were missing most of their frontline players. No LeBron James, no Luka Dončić. Austin Reaves actually sat this one out. Marcus Smart still yet to practice, therefore still not ready to play. So that was, you're going to expect a little bit of raggediness, but you still got to play the game and you still got to look for good stuff. So we'll break it all down here in a moment. Before, though, we need to tell you that first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. I think there were a few performances, Andy, that are worth pointing out. Deandre Ayton, I think, overall looked better in Sunday's game than he did on Friday. Jake LaRavia had some nice moments. There was some good stuff sort of spotted around the floor, especially in the first half. Gabe Vincent made his preseason debut and looked great. But the name that really has everybody talking after this game, talking during the game, if you were following it on social media, Jarred Vanderbilt really came out and played a strong game, moving well, very active.
9 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals for Jarred Vanderbilt. He very early on in the game set, I think, a lot of tone with his energy and his hustle and the things that you come to expect from Vando. He hit a corner 3 in this game, which isn't something that you necessarily expect from Vando, but he put up 3 of them, continues to be, if nothing else, confident with putting up that shot. And for what it's worth, I thought it looked better in this game than the corner shot.
Yeah, a little less rushed. It was less rushed, I think, than Friday.
It looked a little bit more just comfortable for him. He also had, I realized, given the finishing issues that I've talked a lot about with Vando since he's been with the Lakers, because I think it's so important. And I think for all the talk about can he not hit a corner 3, Vando's struggles at the rim are a far bigger problem for him offensively. He had what JJ described after the game as a Eurostep decel meaning deceleration, finish at the rim, like an up and under type play that he finished through contact. He unfortunately couldn't make it an and one, but it is one of the best finishes I've seen from Jarred Vanderbilt as a Laker, even acknowledging there's maybe like 5 to choose from.
Right. Well, he had one
really
in the first half, though, that became an and one as well, where he finished through contact. So
yeah,
2 of those over the course of the game.
He looks really good so far to start this young preseason and training camp. He looks, as everybody keeps harping on, and Vando during media day kept emphasizing the importance of healthy. He looks healthy. And a healthy Jarred Vanderbilt is a really potentially important piece for this team.
Yeah, I think I am, JJ talked about it after the game, and obviously I don't want to make it sound like it doesn't matter, because it does. I mean, Jarred Vanderbilt as a competent, low volume, 35% 3-point shooter obviously changes the arithmetic of how you can use him, how he can be used, how he fits into an offense. what the combos are. You do not want him. I mean, I guess something weird happens, but probably don't want him shooting 4, 5, 6 of these a game. But again, 1, 2, 3 a game where he is going to hit it, 35% or so. It really does make a big difference. But I am not on board yet with the, Jarred Vanderbilt needs to show me that, probably needs to show the coaching staff that for multiple weeks of games. I think before
what specifically?
The 3-point shot, before everybody sort of feels comfortable with that as like, yes, this is a new part of his game that he worked on and whatever. Need to see it. The finishing stuff, though, inside is significantly more important because you can figure out how to use Vando even if he's not hitting 3-pointers. You can put an architecture of around him in terms of the right lineups and this and that with enough shooting that you can leverage what he brings defensively and not worry about the spacing as much because it can be found somewhere else. If he's not hitting 3-pointers and he also, is dropping balls at the rim, he's had hands issues at different times. If he's not able to put the ball on the floor a little bit and finish, where like the only thing he can do is either finish with a dunk on the break or a wide open layup because he, back cut or somebody ignores him. It's gonna be much harder to use him with big minutes. And so those finishes, one in the first half, one in the second half, to me were sort of critically important plays.
Yeah, there needs to be an offensive utility for him. He does not. I do not expect Jarred Vanderbilt to become a full two-way player, but if he can become somewhere between a 1.25 and 1.5 way player with everything else he brings to the table, that will be more than enough to me, particularly if he's playing. Let's just say, and the question of could Jarred Vanderbilt potentially start was posed to JJ as he's done all preseason. JJ kind of demurred and said like minutes will have to be earned by everybody, but then went on to acknowledge that Vando looks good. And as you pointed out when you and I were texting before the show, he didn't say no.
He didn't say no. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say we're considering. Like he could have left that door open a lot wider than he did, but he didn't shut it. So at least it's
sure.
It's
but
there.
The reason I bring up the starting thing is not even to necessarily talk about whether or not he should or shouldn't start. We can and probably will have that conversation over the course of the week, but it's not the reason I raised it right now. The reason I raised it right now is, let's just say for the sake of argument, Vando is playing in a lineup with LeBron, Luka, Austin, and Ayton, the presumed 4 in-pen starters. If those 4 guys can't generate enough offense to offset or supplement, however you want to put it, Vando's presence for the same reasons we've talked about with Marcus Smart, even if Marcus Smart isn't to the same extremes as Vando, to me, then the problem is the offense is not working in actuality the way we see it on paper. Like those 4 guys should be able to generate enough offense. And, even if LeBron and Luka are 2 guys that, they both can hit threes, but the reality is their gravity is themselves. Like they can space the floor simply by being themselves. They will never be left alone. Sure. Austin Reaves is pretty close to along those lines. You do not leave him alone. Deandre Ayton he doesn't space the floor, but he always has to be accounted for. If those 4 guys cannot make your offense hum to the point where Jarred Vanderbilt can do many other things, then again, I just feel like for whatever reason, and I guess we'll see it over the course of the season, the offense just is not working the way we would expect.
Well, I look at it this way too. I think to some degree what they're waiting for to decide, and it's I think by all accounts, either Marcus Smart or Rui Hachimura that they're looking at. But if by all, if they're waiting for, you got to see Smart on the floor before you can really make that evaluation. I said it last week. The longer it takes for Smart to get on the floor, the more likely it is for Vanderbilt, I'm sorry, for Rui to get that starting position just because he's the other guy and he's playing. So after the break, though, I will say there is something to be said. I realize we can have the larger conversation over the course of the week, but there is something to be said for Vanderbilt and how he's playing now, kind of in that construction. If you're considering Smart, here's why you might want to consider Vanderbilt. We'll do that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Peloton, shaping the future of fitness with brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ, their most advanced equipment yet. Peloton's designed to give you real-time guidance, endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, stay engaged, reach peak performance. The Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks reps, suggests the right weights, corrects your forms, makes each rep safer and smarter. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com.
So, I mean, I'll say this, Andy, and we can move on to like Deandre Ayton and some other guys, but, let us know what you think in the comments section as well. But like, why you would start Marcus Smart is he's going to add defensive integrity. He's going to be able to pick up your point of attack, defense in ways that, Austin Reaves isn't going to, Rui Hachimura is not going to, so you have a legitimate point of attack defender and all that kind of stuff. Smart is a better offensive player than Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about that. He is a better secondary ball mover. He is, there's a lot of different things that, but what he isn't is a floor spacer. And so, if you are willing to put Smart into your starting lineup,
I think he is more of a floor spacer than Vando. Like,
well,
he
sure.
is. Well, no, but I mean, I'm saying I think that Marcus Smart is somebody that you don't necessarily want to take a ton of threes, but he is somebody that at least you would expect to take threes at some type of clip. Vando, right, when he takes threes, it's more of a surprise. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. But I mean, Smart for his career is a 32% 3-point shooter.
Sure.
I mean, he's never been good at it. I mean,
no
his
argument.
high watermark, but the point I'm getting to is like, his high watermark is basically 33, 34%. Like that's a good 3-point shooting season for Smart. So if you are willing to put him in the starting lineup, you are willing to accept a player who is not going to help with your spacing in that way. And so, and Smart on this team, setting aside, there are people who do great work with, what is the best way for a player to be used defensively. Smart can do a lot of things. I don't know for sure if like in every situation, point of attack defense best for both of us on this team, given the alternatives. Both Smart and Vanderbilt will be used very frequently, if not most of the time that they're on the floor, as point of attack defenders. So if you're going to use Smart that way, who isn't a floor spacer, you could also use Vanderbilt that way,
sure,
who is not a floor spacer. And in fact, and defensively, I think the less you get Vanderbilt in traffic, the better off he is. He is better when he's not chasing, when he's not filling space, when he's not he is best when he is on the ball, pressuring the ball, pressuring ball handlers, pressuring switches and all that kind of stuff, or, pressuring screens and things like that. And so, I think there at least is an argument to be made there, and we'll see how it goes. And if Vanderbilt continues both to look as comfortable physically as he is, look like he can carry a little bit of a load, and doesn't look like he might break down from that kind of workload, because you got to keep him healthy. Then I think we'll see in a couple weeks, especially if Smart isn't yet playing.
I was about to say, it is so important right now that, knock on wood, Vando does seem healthy and is looking more like himself, because we don't know when Marcus Smart is going to be back. And I don't know everything about medicine, but Achilles tendinopathy for a guard of his age who plays extremely hard, like Marcus Smart, and has had injuries over the last couple of years, that feels like no joke. And that feels,
you don't want to mess with it. That's for sure.
And also too, I mean, we might as well mention him because he made his debut when we were talking about guys who can be point of attack options. Gabe Vincent doesn't offer as many as Vincent or Vando, because he doesn't have Vando's size and overall versatility, and Marcus
Smart and Vando, you mean?
Right. Excuse me. Of Smart and Vando. Like, Vincent doesn't have Vando's size, or I think overall versatility, the rebounding ability. He doesn't have Smart's strength. And I think he's just not as good as Smart.
Big. He's just a smaller guy.
But he is a point of attack option. And Vincent made his debut for the preseason and played very well. 16 points. 4 of 9 from the field. He hit 3 threes, 5 assists. He also looked very good and lively and active, said he felt good afterwards. It'll be interesting. I think this game was a reminder of how much more comfortable Gabe Vincent is with the ball in his hands, how much seemingly more utility he has if he can run offenses or just have the ball more often, and a reminder of how little that's actually going to happen during the course of the season. So finding that off-ball utility and comfort zone for Gabe is going to be really important.
Yeah, it's one of these things. It's like, when you watch a game like this, there are moments when, Jake LaRavia is, ISOing on the perimeter late in a shot clock, trying to break people down. And you're like, well, that's not good. But you're also like, well, that's not going to happen in the regular season. Like, these guys are put into roles and are asked to do things when you have a lineup missing, 4 of your top rotation players, your 3 best players. And if a healthy Marcus Smart is somewhere between your 4th and 7th most important player, all of them were out. So you're going to get certain guys doing certain things that are not exactly what you would want them doing in the regular season. But I thought Vincent, what Vincent was doing, he had a couple of nice plays where, coming off of a screen, and stepping around a screen and aggressively putting up a shot and things like that. He's not a guy who doesn't know what his skill set is. He's a pretty seasoned vet at this point. I think the Lakers know exactly what he is. And, I don't love a world in which Vincent is relied on a nightly basis to be a, 5th, 6th, 7th best guy. But I do like a world where he's relied on to be a 7th, 8th, and 9th type guy. And I think that's where he is currently slotted on this team. And you saw the floor spacing, and the Lakers just haven't. So it's like Vanderbilt in the last couple of years. They just haven't been able to get whatever the fully realized version of Gabe Vincent is. The Lakers haven't been able to get it. And so being able to get it is another one of these things that just raises their floor in a significant way.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been able to get it in part because Gabe has had a lot of injuries since
he played a lot of games last year, but he wasn't. I don't think
some of this again is you saw it in this game when he was, running off screens or taking the ball up court and essentially calling his own number. And I don't mean that like selfishly or irresponsible. I'm just saying, creating his own shot. He is more comfortable, I think, as a scorer than when others create shots for him. And like, his lowest usage in Miami as a rotation player was 17.5. And during the 2023 Miami finals run, where, that was really, I think, Gabe Vincent's career year, both regular season and playoffs, His
I
usage,
believe it made him what, $33 million with the
yes,
Lakers?
it did. Yes, it did.
$33 million run.
His usage was per Basketball References metrics. His usage was almost 20 during that playoff run. His highest usage as a Laker has been 13.5. And, the playoffs are a bad place to look for his metrics because, 2024, he barely played at all. In 2025, there was weirdness going on with the bench in general.
Yeah.
But the point being, his comfort, what is clearly his comfort zone as a player, there feels like less opportunities for it. His catch and shoot numbers are fine, but not great. They're not terrible, but they're not great either. And just his general off-ball utility. Like, again, there's stuff from watching Gabe in this game that you could be optimistic about. And again, it was just cool to see him look healthy and look very comfortable out there. I'm just curious to see exactly how they split the baby in what he's actually going to do on this team and what actually makes him most comfortable, most productive.
We'll talk after the break, but when you start to go down the list of like the things that need to happen for the Lakers to punch a little bit above, like it's, as you see these preseason, predictions and rankings and all this stuff come out, like it's starting to kind of coalesce. The Lakers are pretty consistently 4th, 5th at the worst in the conference. There aren't a lot of people putting them lower than that. Basically they're tucked in right behind the Thunder, obviously, the Nuggets, and still Houston, even with after the Van Vliet injury, all of which I think is totally fair. So everybody expects the Lakers to be good, but there's a gap there between where they're being put and where fans hope they can get, a conference finals or a finals or whatever it might be. All of these things you talk about, Jarred Vanderbilt is a huge aspect of this. Gabe Vincent is an important aspect of this. All of these things that if you have a healthy version of these guys that are the version that the Lakers had hoped they would get when they signed them to their, current deals, all of those things help pick up where the Lakers are. I think the biggest guy who raises the Lakers ceiling, where there is a little bit of fluidity and not knowing what you're going to get, is Deandre Ayton. He did not look great on Friday, did a few things well, but overall looked kind of uncomfortable. How did he look on Sunday in San Francisco? We'll break that down next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season's in full swing. FanDuel's making sure you're ready for every kickoff with a can't-miss offer. New customers right now, you bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So just pick something super obvious for that $5 bet. I love how FanDuel fits however you want to bet, whether you're talking player props, building a same-game parlay, even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching the team that you root for IRL or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So, if you're somebody that just has a good feel for how games are going to shake out in the fourth quarter, just FanDuel can make it pretty fun. So you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right. So DeAndre Ayton, I think, is the biggest, I hate the term X factor, but like if you define that as guy who you're not totally sure what you're going to get, but could have a massive impact on how things go, well, and DeAndre Ayton is an X factor. And a lot of people have been downplaying his potential impact on the team because he's DeAndre Ayton and they don't particularly like the player and all of this other stuff. But you're comparing that, if you're a Lakers fan, you're comparing that not to the idealized version of DeAndre Ayton. You're comparing it to what the Lakers had at center last year. And while Jackson Hayes has looked stronger and played, I think, pretty well.
I thought Jackson had a nice game on Sunday.
Yeah, I think he's played, a couple Jackson Hayes like fouls notwithstanding on Sunday. On Friday, I should say, did a couple, did some good stuff in that game as well. That extra weight looks like it's suiting him well without impeding his athleticism in any meaningful way. So that's great. He's still a backup center. Like, and I wouldn't even necessarily put him in yet. Like the upper tier of backup centers in the NBA. I don't think he's earned that yet.
No.
DeAndre Ayton compared to that should be a massive improvement. But the Lakers don't want just a massive improvement. They want something closer to what that idealized version of Ayton is in the context of playing with Luka and LeBron and AR and all that. So knowing that, 23 points a game is probably not an option there. But that said, they strong pick and roll player, strong on the boards, better rim protection than what they were getting, and quite frankly, maybe even better than what Ayton has typically delivered over the course of his career.
It's interesting you say that, because in this game, DeAndre Ayton, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 1 on the offensive glass, 2 blocks, 3 of 8 from the floor in 21 minutes. There was a couple times during the game where Michael Thompson, who was filling in for Stu Lance, who's recovering from something health related, and best wishes to Stu, by the way, who's awesome and love hearing him on the air, and just a really, really nice person. So wishing him the best. Hopefully he'll be ready for the season opener. But there were a couple times where Michael Thompson commented that Ayton had a shot and passed it up. And I thought the same thing too. And it reminded me how after Friday's game, where Ayton, I believe, only had 1 point, but he was pretty good on the glass and was pretty active in the lane on both sides of the ball, and was talking about how, he's not looking for his numbers obviously being scoring numbers. He wants to be doing all of the things expected from him. And I feel like he's almost like on his quote unquote best behavior right now. And I feel like watching Ayton, he is trying a little too hard to convince everybody that he's not about his empty stats and that he's not just looking to get paid. And right. I appreciate it, but like, it is a reminder to Ayton, they are actually looking for you to score. They just want you to do the other stuff too. Like they want you to do both.
And I think, and you're going to have, he has a very specific, like role. Like he's going to have, like, they're going to run a ton of pick and roll. You've got some of the best pick and roll partners you could possibly ask for on this team, starting obviously with Luka, who has made a career of earning centers, second and third homes. So what I liked about this game is the first couple minutes, Ayton looked tentative in the way that he looked tentative on offensively on Friday. Kind of backing away from not just backing away from contact, because he doesn't play through contact. He's not a guy who draws a lot of fouls, and he's not an ultra physical offensive player. And okay, I don't think nobody should expect that to change, but being confident, aggressively getting up your shot, making a move, all that, he just didn't look comfortable. Granted, the Lakers do not have their normal pick and roll guys for him to be working with and all that stuff.
Or just the guys, frankly, to forget just pick and rolls,
play with
passes.
Yeah.
Like the Lakers, this is something I know, like Pete and Darius over at Lakers Film Room podcast have talked about a lot, and I think they're 100% correct. Like the Lakers have, even with Anthony Davis on this team, they've been lacking in quality entry pass guys, and that is a skill.
Sure, all of it.
And right now, the most fully realized version of DeAndre Ayton, beyond whatever comfort level he is or is not feeling, you're going to have a difficult time seeing it, because you don't have the guys out there to bring the best out of Ayton.
But I think as the game went on, as the first half went, I am here pretending that the third quarter didn't happen. Lakers were awful in the third quarter, and their starters were awful in the third quarter. I don't know if it's because they looked across, and Golden State played their starters early. They played them in the first half. They did not come out with that same group in the second half. And I don't know, maybe the Lakers got bored. I'm not sure, but
I think they all kind of realized I'm only going to be out here like another few minutes. Like this, just I'm not defending it, but it might have felt
like they were trying to make that time shorter by playing.
It looked like they were having like an existential crisis over those. It was 5 minutes. Like, what am I doing out here?
I was like, I stopped to finish, put the dishes away, and like all of a sudden I came back and like looked at the score and had to rewind. I was like, oh my god, what happened? And they were awful in the third quarter. So I'm just going to pretend like it didn't happen. And focus more on the first half when I feel like they were more engaged and you get a better idea of what you might see. You saw more from Ayton. There was a couple aggressive jump hooks. I mean, I think he missed them both, but they were there. He took and made his first like elbow jumper. That's, off the pick and roll. That's going to be an important, that sort of mid-range capability is something that the Lakers need from him. And then obviously there were a couple lobs to the basket, one of which Ayton did not convert. That will have to be converted during the season. But the second one he did. It was off a okay but not great lob from Jake LaRavia. So who is not going to be the guy throwing him lobs for most of the season? So it's one of these things where like I thought Ayton didn't look dominant by any stretch, but you saw the pieces, I did at least, of like what it could look like and how free he's going to be able to be in this offense if he plays with a high motor and he, has the sort of attention to detail, set a hard screen, roll hard, all that kind of, find the right spot, aggressively take your shot when it's available. He's going to have a ton of space because Luka and LeBron and AR and all these guys, it's not just that they have gravity, it's that their timing is impeccable on this stuff. And so if you think you're open playing with, average player X, you're going to be twice as open when you play with Luka and LeBron.
Yeah. And again, I like just seeing DeAndre Ayton right now, like hyper focused on looking to do the proverbial right things. Yeah. Again, like PSA reminder, we do need you to score. DeAndre, like they're
not just the intangibles, as right. You like to say, we need some tangibles.
Yeah,
too.
The Lakers are looking for you to maintain the double-double streak, like as far as career averages. Like they
right. Well, especially the back end of it. And to that end, he's rebounded the ball quite well. But of the two of those, the 10 rebounds a game is critical.
Yeah, he is, the way he's been playing in preseason, he is on pace to keep matching those 10 rebounds a night. Again, 7 in this game, but he only played 21 minutes. You average that out to 30-ish minutes, he will hit 10 rebounds. I believe he had 8 on Friday. Like he is doing that stuff. He is looking, I think, very active on both sides of the ball. And I think he is really trying to continue making like a good impression on everyone. And he's talked, I mean, whether during media day or his introductory press conference, he's aware of his negative reputation. He's aware that he's seen as a non-winning player. Whether you think that is fair, not fair, somewhere in between, whatever, what matters most is he doesn't like it. Like, and obviously it's up to him to maintain this commitment for more than 2 preseason games. Like where the proving ground has hardly been reached, but he's made it pretty clear he doesn't like it. Well, and he seems interested in changing it.
And I think, on the floor, then, he leads them in, the way in sort of a really strong rebounding presence. The Lakers ought to become a much better rebounding team because the raw material on this team in terms of their rebounding, if you put, 10 a night from 8 in the middle, all of a sudden, LeBron James is obviously an excellent rebounder. Luka is a good rebounder. Reaves is actually a good rebounder for his size. And so the only guy in the starting lineup, at least if you carry over last year's to this year and add Ayton, the only guy in that group who's actually not a good rebounder is Rui. 4 of the other 5 are, good to excellent, to elite even. And so, that should make a significant difference for the Lakers this year.
As much as Rui is not a great rebounder for his size or athleticism, I think a little bit of it has to do with him playing a lot along the perimeter.
Sure, but he's not a good rebounder.
Oh, sure. But No, I'm not trying to. Like I said, he is not a good rebounder for his size or athleticism. But the real problem for them last year, without trying to let Rui off the hook, was that Jackson Hayes for a center is a terrible rebounder.
And so like you put both of those guys in there, and like, or you're playing small or whatever it is, or Vanderbilt's not available and you don't get his rebounding. Like, it's another area where a healthy Jarred Vanderbilt makes just an enormous difference. You have to be able to get rebounds, and they just couldn't do it. Anyway, lots to talk about this week. It was not a perfect night by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought they looked better. JJ Redick, whose opinion matters more than mine, also was happier with the effort on Sunday. The Lakers get a full week before they play again, which is good. They play again on Sunday and then again on Tuesday. So a lot to build up to. We'll get to some of the stuff that Redick talked about. We'll talk more about this starting lineup issue over the course of the week. Send us your questions. Send us your comments. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 36,000 subscribers are all hanging out. Subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple. We'll see everyone tomorrow